Hi, y'all. Let's begin. I'll start us with a brief arriving meditation and introducing the prompt. Is the chat recorded? I don't think so.
Just wondered.
Yeah, not that I know. So yeah, I'll start us with
I
a
don't know.
brief arriving meditation with the prompt. We'll have a little check-in. It's possible other people will drop in. Maybe it's us. And then we'll do, as usual, go into a little bit of a deeper meditation and then into the inquiry itself. So allow yourself to arrive in this moment. See if you can find the self being here and now, rather than the self, the experience of self being anywhere other than here and now. Often our experience reaches out towards, again, often we experience that as out towards past or future, but it can be experienced in many ways. That's just a simple way of encapsulating much of it. Where do we find ourselves? Allow yourself to find yourself here and now. Just take a moment to catch up with yourself. And as you arrive and settle into the self, consider this. Consider this prompt. Find some area of your life that is alluring, enticing, hopeful, something that you aspire towards. Consider this phrase, there's somewhere to get to. There's somewhere to get to. Not there yet, but it's coming. There's somewhere to get to. Allow this quality of experience to resonate, to call forth some part of your psyche, we could say. There's somewhere to get to. What is it that you strive for? What is that? What is that resting place? What is that higher ground? Allow it to become clearer to you. And it could be there's a few. It could be there's, I think some of the ones I put in the Telegram chat. Could be there's, the earthly financial security. And that's That's common, right? Or a romantic relationship, or recognition, acknowledgement, approval. But there's also reaching for 4D, reaching for freedom, liberation. Just allow one of those areas or a different area of life, something you strive for. There's somewhere to get to. Allow that to be clear within you. Does anybody need more time to find your somewhere? Welcome, Neil. Nice haircut.
Thank you. I
All
got it.
right. So anybody volunteer to share first? What's alive for you? There's somewhere to get to.
I can volunteer mine.
I don't hear you.
I heard her.
Oh yeah. Oh, will you say it again?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to switch to my laptop in just a minute. I just got home with some groceries, so.
Cool.
Okay.
You have the groceries to get to.
Yeah. A little bit. I have a dream of feeling like this earthy force of like a homesteading woman, where I want a piece of land that I know intimately, where nobody can see me if I want that. And I want to take care of the land and feel it take care of me, and grow vegetables and feed people, and just like really enjoy a feeling of home and being settled. And really that fourth density earth vibe, creating it in my sphere, in my space, and then inviting people into it and tending it and letting it touch people's hearts. That's like really exciting for me. It's this feeling of like deep connection to a place that I can cultivate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
I would echo that in a lot of ways. Of course, yeah, land that knows me and I know it, and I'm with the people I'm supposed to be with. I also was feeling what I anticipate, what I hope for is something like a group mind, maybe a planetary group mind, but at least a good amount of people that I'm associated with, and we're aware at the same time, like we made it through something together, and we made it to full presence. And we're in our bodies, we're on the land we love, we're living it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A feeling of togetherness and awareness. Like, we did this, we did it. We
Yeah.
are here now. And a lot of the worry is behind us.
Mm. Yeah.
Sounds kind of naive, but that's me.
I mean, it sounds like a beautiful heart's desire too.
That's the dream.
All right. I would say what came up for me is just the ability to see everybody with love, and that would alleviate a lot of my suffering on anxiety and anger and just those lower emotions that have been coming up more as life catalysts come along. So I feel like if I could live from the heart space more and kind of get to the next level of seeing everyone as creator, or just with more love than their human self, I guess.
Yeah. I love y'all's hearts. No wonder we're part of the same collective. We're so aligned. Yeah. For me, it's so similar. The somewhere to get to is a full embodied experience of peace all of the time, so that I can experience a readiness to serve in every moment. Never experience the ability to be of service going offline. Sweet. Thanks, y'all. So now we'll do our little bit longer meditation. So again, allow yourself to get comfortable. Arrive in the self.
Yeah.
And I invite you to allow the body to effortlessly relax. Allow this moment that we have arrived in to hold you. And let yourself just trust. Trust this moment. Notice how well it's holding you. And just relax into it just a little bit more. And as we've done before, let's engage the thought experiment of allowing the mind to be completely empty. So as though there's no past, no future. There's nothing for the mind to refer to other than now and other than self. So we'll just take a minute to allow the emptying of the mind. empty of childhood, not forever, just for a few minutes. Empty of background, lineage, family history. Allow your mind to just be empty of that. Any baggage that you've been holding on to, at least just for now. Allow the mind to be empty of that. And include any ideas of future. Again, not forever, just for now, just for a couple minutes, just for this thought experiment. Suppose that there is no future, nothing exists that we could call a future. So allow the mind to be empty of that. Release all ideas of future. Experiencing the weightlessness of being without projection. And again, notice as all of these concepts and ideas get removed, there's something that doesn't get removed, that can't be removed. Just be with that quality. In this space between thoughts, what is there? What's left? And again, I invite you to consider that what's left is your own presence. That's one way we can call it. We can call it awareness. We can call it knowing. And our intention during our time together is to stay connected to this presence that often gets covered over, colored by thinking, and to come to know this presence more deeply. Just take another moment to be with the, I like to call it weightlessness of this presence. Now I invite you to begin to let the mind back in. Let past and future back in. And as best you can, without letting these ideas, these images, these stories cover over the presence. Instead, as best you can, see if you can notice that these ideas, images, stories arise within the knowing, within the awareness, the presence that you are. So allow past and future ideas of the world to be illumined by your presence. Ideas of childhood, lineage, history, baggage, ideas of future, what you yearn for. Also allow ideas of future of, what we resist, what we're afraid of. Just notice what it's like to be you right now with all of this. No right or wrong answer, just whatever's authentic for you. What's it like to be you? As best you can, resting as the presence of awareness that illumines ideas of past and future. Now let's be specifically with the idea there's somewhere to get to. So specifically now, notice the quality of those beautiful visions of the heart's desire. So we can be with, how we imagine that future to be. So delicious, so fulfilled, so yummy. And then also Now let's be with the awareness, the recognition that that's somewhere to get to. So be with the, it's not here yet. Turn your attention to that quality of experience. And as we've done before, now we'll just toggle back and forth a few times between with the thought, there's somewhere to get to, and without. So we'll begin with that thought. There's somewhere to get to. And specifically, not the projection of what it will be like to get there, but being here and not there yet. So there's somewhere to get to. What do you notice? What is it like to be with this thought? There's somewhere to get to. Whenever you're ready, we can just popcorn. And I think because there's so few of us, you're welcome to be off mute. And we can just kind of jump in. Anybody want to share what you notice of what it's like to be with that thought? There's somewhere to get to.
Go, Neil.
It felt like not like a burden, but there's work to do. I don't know, it almost felt like something I would procrastinate over. I don't know, like then I got the thought of, or the phrase, it's work of lifetimes, trying to see everyone with love, and that it's not just going to be there. Like it's going to take a lot of work. And so maybe a little scary.
Yeah. What do you see if you can find when you feel the scary, where does it hit you in your body? If you can find that.
Like upper chest, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll invite you to just keep staying with that and see if any specific, sensations or qualities appear. You don't have to share more about it now, but just something to keep being with. Anybody else want to share with the thought there's somewhere to get to?
Yeah. Gives me the feeling that I have to fix myself. There's a lot of things I need to learn, skills I need to gain, growing I need to do in order to have what I want. and it makes me feel anxious, not enough. And I think the predominant feeling is like a grief, and I tend to feel that in my throat for some reason, having to do with just wanting so much to embody something that I don't feel like I'm fully embodying right now.
Yeah.
I'm almost like guilty about that. Like, this is the work I want to do in the world and I don't know how to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a really hard time making decisions and knowing what I want, what I like. And I feel as though if you don't know what you like, going after what you desire feels impossible. Like, you feel stuck.
Mm.
Your desires are shifting all the time. Nah, that's not worth desiring. No, I shouldn't be desiring that. And when we were doing the first meditation, just returning to presence, the first thing that was stripped away in terms of, I went back to this state of, I guess, being like a baby or a little girl before I was super aware of my body, before I was super aware of what I should be. And instead was just like, I just interfaced with the world based on desire and excitement. And I had this amazing feeling of knowing what I liked, like for just a minute,
Yeah.
because I didn't have to worry about whether or not it was the right thing to like. And that doesn't like go happen at a conscious level. It
Yeah.
happened. If it did, I feel like it would be a lot easier to deal with, but it's just kind of like my operating system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to imagine bringing the presence of this like delighted, joyful, awestruck being into the vision of what I want in the world and in my life,
Yeah.
and how I can be there like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say something about that too. And I'm also tracking, I want to hear from Farrellyn. I think that sort of quality of being, of like knowing what we want, like, again, I think I've said this many times, I consider that to be really connected to, as Ross says, the second distortion, love. And it's also what we're interested in, and it guides us towards, the heart's desire. And it's so fascinating how the mind gets in the way, even with a seemingly positive vision that we think is going to, get us there. There's somewhere to get to. Oh, it's this amazing, that's how I'm going to get there. And actually, it's part of the focusing of the creator, and it's leaning into the veil is the way that I experience it. And it sort of shuts down. We amuse ourselves by shutting down the limitless creative potential, but don't really realize it's happening. So that's like so exactly what I experienced. The power of this inquiry to be is to expose and realize again and again and see, oh, that's the closing, the focusing, the limiting of what I really am. And then instead, like, the practice is coming to see how what we are isn't dependent upon that limitation that we call the mind, the distortion that we call the mind, that it's a helpful tool, but the over identification with the mind, just learning, knowing more the impacts of the over identification with that capacity. Thanks for sharing.
This is subtle stuff. This is mastery stuff. mastery of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Because
It
I
is.
find, my mind and emotions become so real and so real. So
Yeah.
you're saying, keep going, keep the inquiry going. Where is this from? What's this
Yeah.
referring to? Should I go?
Yeah. So specifically, what do you notice when you believe the thought, when you're with the thought, there's somewhere to get to? What was that experience like?
You're asking me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I can I can conjure and feel the wonderful place that I anticipate or that I wish for, and I know is real on a spiritual level. And then my mind is like, oh, I'll never have that in this life.
Yeah.
I won't have that as Carolyn Johnson.
Yeah.
Who is Carolyn? So and a lot of what I'm anticipating is, it depends on other people. So I feel like I'm waiting, not just, yeah, I'm waiting for other people. It's just the general feeling is like, well, I'm just being as patient as I can be while I wait. And I won't, and the other deeper level is that I'll never really get to who I really am, to share how I really am, not in this life. Like it's too late, or it's too much to expect.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, let's all just be with that experience. There's somewhere to get to with that thought. There's somewhere to get to. And now I invite you to be without that thought, and not to replace the thought with another, but just as best you can, allow yourself to be without the thought. There's somewhere to get to. And notice what your presence is like. And I'll share first. And I realize I didn't share what it was like with the thought, so I'll share that first. For me, so again, my mind is going to get to is like unshakable peace. And with the thought, there's somewhere to get to. It's like the peace isn't present because I'm constantly scanning for where it is and how do I get there and what's the right thing to do. And there's a right and wrong answer. And I'm on edge, and I feel very compressed. My breathing is shallow. Without the thought, there's somewhere to get to. It's just simple presence. The peace is attainable, and I'm present. I'm curious. I'm available. I'm like, oh, there's my people. There's my people, and how can I serve? That's what I was interested in. That's what I wanted, was to be available to serve. Oh, look, it's happening. There's my people. Let's do it. So I notice without the thought, instantly more present, available, connected. The breath returns. So what do you notice without the thought? There's somewhere to get to.
I was hit with like almost a feeling of you silly human. Like, don't you get it? The experience of like stress and everything is sacred. Like even the experience of anger, all that. Like I want those experiences. Like give them to me. I want to experience everything. So it was kind of like a relief in a bit that the creator sees what I view as flaws as just absolute loving moments that is probably just everything is expansive up to the one creator, and every moment is sacred. So it's just like, who cares if you get angry once in a while? Like it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. Thank you. Diana or Farrellyn, would you care to share? No pressure.
I can. It took me a while to get to there's nowhere to get to. And yes, I turned my shirt out because I have mixed feelings about that shirt. So I was tired of looking at it. It was layers, removing layers, because the first thing I thought when, well, that future, we don't have to get there, was like, well, then I have to bring that future into now. I have to take what I have right here and now and change it and make it work for me because it's what I want. No, that's the whole thought of that's somewhere to get to again. How do we take that away? It was really hard to do. I'm not sure I fully succeeded. But the closest I came was like, I'm eating celery and I'm sitting in my chair and I'm comfortable and I'm having a lovely call, and that's all I need to think about. And it's very pleasant.
Yeah.
What Neil said really resonates from a place of like, yeah, that makes sense. You're perfect as you are. But I just don't think I quite got there.
Yeah.
You know, there's somewhere to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling we're reflecting each other. I feel, again, I could completely relate to Neil, to Diana, to you, BJ, and can say all those things. And I found myself just gazing around, and I'm painting. So I just went to, that's what I can do on my painting next, so I went into creative mode, just like, that's what I want to do, is just add some green there. I'm painting a tree on a shirt and I'm excited about it. So, and I'm doing some clay thing. So that's where I naturally went after I let go of past and future. I mean, that's a kind of future, but it was just enjoying the pondering of how to create, or the feeling of creativity bubbling up right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do
Bruce.
think that's what I'm here for, really, is just joy and creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. So just stay with that experience for a moment of without the thought. And then again, let's bring that catalyst of mind back in. Bring the thought back just to try it on again and see what happens. There's somewhere to get to. There's somewhere to get to. Notice images that begin to appear. Notice what often happens is our sight becomes clouded. The way mind works, as I understand it, is mind's job is to prove that what we believe is true. So it begins to show us proof. There's somewhere to get to. It's got to show us that future. It's got to show us that we're not there yet. And notice what begins to happen in your life, what begins to happen in your relationships. How do you interact with other people with the thought there's somewhere to get to? And notice how you treat yourself. There's somewhere to get to. And notice how it is to work towards this thing that you'd like to get to. Does it feel easy? Does it feel joyful? Does it feel challenging? Anyone want to share what you notice with the thought there's somewhere to get to?
I'm not gonna go first.
I'm not either.
I was also trying not to, but there's only three of us, so BJ.
I could go first.
Yeah.
We're all so considerate. I'll go first. So with the thought there's somewhere to get to, again, I noticed immediately my heart felt more closed. I'm more protective. The stakes are higher. I'm less trustful of other people. I was noticing that, less trustful. Because there's somewhere to get to, and I've got my agenda. And, you could interfere with my agenda. So I don't know. I have to monitor whether we're on the same page, whether you're going to support my agenda or whether what you're up to is going to get in the way of my agenda. And that I just noticed that immediately closed my heart. I'm more skeptical. Much less curious. That's what I got.
I like how you're doing a somatic report. I
Mm.
forget to do that sometimes. And when I was trying to get back with the program of imagining that I had somewhere to go, I resisted. My body resisted. I just stayed relaxed. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do that. I'm looking
Yeah.
at the incredible light on these blossoms in the tree. And
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the thinking mode. My body wanted to just
Yeah.
relax. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's beautiful, because it can be that the awareness that we are gets it right away, sees, like, with the thought was painful, without the thought was amazing. I'm not interested in going back. And sometimes it, there may still be some interest, like there may still be the idea of, no, that thought serves me, like that thought will motivate me to get there, or there still can be some, or just habit, of belief. So if in this practice any of you ever notice, oh no, I'm not interested in that, absolutely, no pressure to go back into it. If you're done
Oh,
with it,
yeah.
that's great. That's
Oh,
great.
it's definitely quite a good part of the process to notice that I want to follow my body's lead more and more. And so I'm trusting that awareness to tell me exactly what I need in this process, because
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. And
Yeah.
I forget sometimes to tell you guys the somatic level, but and that's, part of the whole picture, so much part of it. And yeah, I can't even talk now. Like words are just ugh.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that when I thought about the needing to get somewhere, it closed me off from being present with interactions with people that I want to be more loving. But when I feel like, oh, I didn't get it like that, or I'm not there yet, it kind of closes me off from being able to go where I want. It's kind of like just canceling itself out, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if I chose a good example, a good destination, because I'm privileged to think that it might actually happen, right? Like I may actually have a bit of land at some point in a
Yeah.
home that, in a place that my family can be together. And so when I first started thinking about it, I got to dreaming. This is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice how often I do that. And yes, it can cause anxiety, but yes, it can also be fun, and it can also distract me very much from today, right now. And then of course, once I started really imagining myself there and that I want to get there, I started to have fears, like really big ones. Like there's several factors in my partner's life that caused me to wonder if he'll survive that long. Will he be there, or will I be doing this alone? Will my son be okay? And will I see him? Or am I going to be working on this land by myself? And it was like really deep, big stuff that all this fear came crashing in. And I don't usually have those. I mean, they're in the back of my mind, but I think I don't let them generate a lot of conscious anxiety in me, because I don't visualize somehow. I don't like put my I don't know how to explain it. It just doesn't happen. I think there's a background anxiety, not a very conscious one, but that exercise just sort of made it all very conscious.
Yeah. 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 So with that, I want to just invite us all, for whatever content may be alive, just do your best to welcome it as the presence of awareness that you are. recognizing that it is mind content and it isn't fundamentally what you are. It's experience. It's sensations, images, ideas. And you as awareness are fundamentally unchanged and therefore safe to experience them. So now let's return one more time to without the thought. Without the thought, there's somewhere to get to. And so we don't have to replace the thought with something else, just as best you can. It's like that thought comes in, but then goes out, just keeps on going. Doesn't have anywhere to land. Without the thought, there's somewhere to get to. What is your presence like in this moment? Without the thought, there's somewhere to get to. Whenever you're ready, whoever's ready.
I gotta be honest, I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Mm.
In the beginning, I had that feeling of returning to true presence. But now when I try to subtract that thought, I realize how much it keeps me going.
Yeah.
That hope of the future keeps me going. And the first thing that happens when I take it away, again, I know I'm probably not taking it away the way this exercise is meant to be. But it's like, okay, that's not going to happen. Oh, shit. Now my life is what it is.
Mm.
Oh, this is hard.
Yeah. So that's not going to happen is a different meditation. That's not going to happen is still a projection of the future, right? It's a projection of the future of that not happening rather than just being without the thought. So see if you can be without that not happening either. Just allow the mind as best you can, and there's no wrong experience. If you can't get there, that's okay. We're just playing around. As best you can, just allow the mind to be empty. Just now. Just with yourself.
Yeah. I needed to stop thinking about not thinking about it.
Right. Right. Thinking about not thinking about it isn't the same as not thinking about it. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to share anything you notice, or you want to take another minute to be with that?
Just much more ease and comfort in my body, relaxation.
Yeah.
And the bubbling up of who I am. That feeling that I've had since I was, for as long as I can remember, of who and what I am.
Yeah.
And having a positive orientation toward that, having a positive relationship with whatever that is.
Yeah.
The closest to me, in this lifetime that I can recognize as my essence shows up and is good and feels good.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful. And related to another piece that you shared, noticing how the thought motivates you. So this work isn't about trying to get rid of thoughts either, right? It's not like there's an agenda here. It's really just an education, it's coming to see what's the effect, and then allowing the natural evolution to happen based on then what I'm interested in. So, if the thought motivates you and is working for you, that's beautiful. That's part of the education. And then, you also can continue the education in terms of, like my curiosity would then be sometimes when we notice a thought doing specific work for us, a way we can deepen in that is we can tend to believe we're dependent upon that thought, in order to get the work done. And then we can start to override and not notice the stress that it's also producing. And what I've found within myself is there's so much profound motivation beyond thinking that's effortless, right? Like when I'm able to actually release a projection of the future, there's just natural service and peace and it's already here. It's like the thing that I was looking for. So, but at the same time, if you notice a thought is working for you, keep it. You're free. It's part of our freedom, right? To utilize the limitation, the concept, the focusing of consciousness that is a concept. So if it's working for you, beautiful. Marilyn or Neil, anything you want to share without the thought there's somewhere to get to?
You got something new?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yeah, I can go. So I pretty much just got an answer and of being without the thought. And it was me at work just talking to a random person that wants information about what we offer. And the word surrender, just surrender in that moment. And then the going like thy will, not my will. And then I heard, open your heart ears. So I'm assuming that's, don't try to answer someone with trying to relate, or I guess, and just really listen and try to channel what they're saying directly into my heart, or I'm assuming that's what it means, heart ears. So yeah, just when I see someone just surrender, just all right, not my will, I don't know how to act right now, your will, and trying to listen. But we'll see, because every day it's someone different, and I feel like it's, no matter what, a lot of practice to get where we should be.
Marilyn, without the thought, anything?
I just feel very, very happy right now. Very happy with everything in my body. With the changing light, seeing your faces, hearing you. I have been in this mode for the last 15 minutes, or I don't know, at some point when I refuse to move out of it. And yeah, that's me right now.
Mm. Beautiful. So, what I want to add in now, another piece of the classical process. Um, so I've shared that this practice that we're engaged in is from the lineage of the work of Byron Katie. That's been my jam for a number of years, and it's been iterating within myself. And I now consider myself to be in that lineage rather than directly practicing that. But I want to offer another piece of that original, the classical process, which the next step in that process is what's known as the turnaround. And it's a way of experiencing the opposite. So, it's similar to Ra talks about the balancing exercises. So we've got this concept of there's somewhere to get to. So we can balance that with the opposite concept. And often there are many opposites. And sometimes there's only one that we can find that makes sense. But so what I invite you to be with now is consider the possibility that there's nowhere to get to. Consider there's nowhere to get to. And then just try it on, just like a pair of shoes. Just see if it fits. See if it makes sense. There's nowhere to get to. Could that be true? And see, sometimes some new information comes in that we weren't considering because of the limitation of mind, of being with this one way of seeing, well, there's somewhere to get to. Yeah, that's true. So sometimes some new information, new light arises. There's nowhere to get to. Could that be true? See if anything presents itself to you, and feel free to share. If there's anything to share, there's nowhere to get to.
This is the second time that Eckhart Tolle's face has popped up in my thing. So it's just like him constantly be here now. Like, don't worry about anything else but right now. So maybe it's time to order one of those Eckhart books.
Yeah.
Or just be here now. Books.
Oh, there's somewhere to get to being here with the book.
Not that easy, Farrellyn.
Yes, it is, Diana.
Clearly for you.
What else is there to do? Well, there's nowhere to get to.
It's an incredible feeling that when someone else transmits it to me, because I have a hard time giving it to myself, there's nowhere to get to. But even in your presence, BJ, like, you make it so acceptable for me to come as I am. And I've experienced that over and over with you. And it's so healing, and it's so relieving of all those pressures And when I've had that influence in my life, that acceptance of what is right now, it's truly the only thing that has given me the ability to love in a way that like moves mountains, changes everything for the better, heals relationships, and even like at some metaphysical level, it's magical.
Yeah.
And I don't always know how to give it to myself, but I do sometimes succeed at accepting when there's an outside influence giving me that message. I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. There's nowhere to get to.
Like a friend.
You have my permission. You need it.
Yeah, I mean, some of my best parenting moves have happened because I was like so full of fear of myself. I need to get my son to shape up. My son needs to change. And then somebody else came along who's been there, done that, or who just doesn't share my fear and concern for his future and has been like, no, he's okay exactly the way he is right now. It's cool. Just let him be. And I'm like, oh, I'm allowed to think that. I don't have to worry in order to hold everything together.
Right.
And then relaxing turns out to be the thing that like shifts my son anyway, when that stops being the goal in a direction that I couldn't exactly have planned or orchestrated, but in a
I've
positive.
got chills.
it's yeah, it's been profound.
Yeah.
It's really
And
easy. Oh, sorry.
I just want to chime in with that because to me, like, that's the kind of energy that is like birthing the new world kind of energy, right? Like that kind of unconditional acceptance, that kind of love is paradoxically what transforms, right? Like, I love you exactly the way you are, and there's nowhere to get to. Bing! Now we're in the new place.
It's hard. It can be very difficult to reconcile that with the apparent needs of the moment. And I think this is relevant. I don't think I'm just talking about me here, but this exercise in general, as my son walks in the door. Did you just hear that dog?
Yeah.
I don't know whose dog that is. Hi, bud. I'm on a Zoom call. It feels sometimes like there are things that need to be addressed in the moment. Just really practical things. Yes, we do need to pay that bill.
Yeah.
So in the 3D world, there's a lot of places to get to, right? Like there's a lot of, and I don't always know where to lift the pressures off of myself and where to make sure that that thought stays at the forefront, that thing needs to be done.
Yeah.
And I know this is only one thought that can be used in this exercise, but the idea of letting go of a thought, right? And then taking the thought back. Sometimes I experience, it might not be a good idea to let go of this all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm in that right
Exactly.
now.
Well, what I want to invite you into, all of you, in as much as you're interested, is that's something you can play with, in your own life now. Like, now that you get this practice a little bit more, like, oh, but now I need this idea of the bill is due, next week. I need that thought in order to motivate me to pay the bill, right? So then you can just sit for a minute and be with, okay, the bill is due next week. Okay, what happens within me when the bill is due, with that thought, the bill is due next week? Okay, and then without the thought, with the thought, and without the thought, and see what happens. And sometimes it's like I was saying before, it seems as though we think we need the thought in order to motivate us, which sometimes may be true, because we may not have attuned to the place that can move more effortlessly, and we're habituated to move from stress, right? But what I think, because we are all more practiced meditators and we are intuitive people, we do have access to the other place where we don't need to prod ourselves and imagine a terrible future of like, well, if the bill doesn't get paid, in order to just be an intelligent human and like, oh, I know what to do in order to pay it. I just need to like transfer money, or I need to do that job, or I need to, whatever the thing is. Like, intelligence arises without needing to imagine a stressful future. It's just intelligence to meet the moment. And again, the direct experience of the practice is so much more illuminating than, me just telling you that. So you can continue to practice together twice a month and on your own. And also I offer one-on-one sessions. And again, reminder, Amanda's going to be offering sessions as well. Hers are for free. Yeah, so with just a few more minutes to go, anybody want to share anything else that you notice from there's nowhere to get to?
Or how are you personally within that? Like, is that a majority of your day-to-day, or things still for you get to you?
Like, do I still use thoughts and like go through
Yeah,
stressful
like
thoughts?
how human are you?
Oh yeah, I'm totally human. I'm totally human. I do find the peace within me is pretty much unshakable in some ways. Doesn't mean I lose touch with it, but I still always know that it's there. And I can get lost in a thought, but I can pretty quickly catch that I'm lost in a thought, and I know how to get back. Like, oh, I just thought that it would be terrible to get to the place late, and that's, I'm feeling all the stress of that right now, and see how I'm talking to my son, and whew, oh, I'm back. I can usually catch it pretty quickly, and shoop, oh, I left. Now I'm back. But yeah, I still totally get lost. Still informing the creator with my catalyst and experience.
I mean, sorry.
Informing the creator. I like that.
Yeah. And with my freedom to be stressed out and think that it's going to be terrible if we're late or whatever the thing is.
Time.
Yeah, because that's one of mine.
With Byron Katie, I'm assuming she kind of lives this life of very peaceful, like a not mentor, but like someone to kind of live up to. Have you kind of, I don't know, someone that is similar to her, or anyone that kind of has that similar level of going about life?
Yeah, she's often compared with Eckhart Tolle. Their work is similar, and they're friends as well, and they also had similar experiences in terms of like they were just like, they didn't have a guru, they didn't have a spiritual path, they had just like a average American life, and then all of a sudden different experience. And they also they talk about like his work is what and her work is how. They're very parallel and compatible.
Thank you.
For some reason, I'm wanting to mention Adyashanti. Do you know him?
Yeah.
When you were talking, I remember a favorite phrase he said, which is, I still have the thoughts, but I don't believe them. I no longer believe them.
Right.
That's been really helpful.
Yeah.
And he was a normal American dude. Well, he did Zen meditation and had his awakenings, but yeah, another American guy.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'll move us to conclude, and your what you shared, Fairlyn, I have some quotes to share in a minute that are consistent with what you shared from Adyashanti. So before we get there, I just invite you to take a moment to reflect on this journey that we've been on. There's somewhere to get to. Just reflect on, let's begin with noticing the beautiful heart's desire we each have, or each in touch with. And then also the stress, the constriction, the pain of believing that there's somewhere to get to. How that projection doesn't necessarily move us towards, at least in this present moment, doesn't connect us with that beautiful vision. And reflect on being without the thought. And how without the thought, each experienced in various moments the ease, the effortless joy, connection, creativity, open heart, relief. And just consider the possibility that this idea, there's somewhere to get to, the idea has never been true. Just consider that possibility. Not necessarily saying that is true, but just consider the possibility that the idea there's somewhere to get to has never been true. The idea there's somewhere to get to isn't that place that we're trying to get to. So maybe the idea has never actually been true. And could it be more true? I'm not necessarily saying that it is. Again, just consider, could it be more true? That there's nowhere to get to. I'm going to read a few quotes from Rupert Spira as he's come up recently. So Rupert Spira says, just let this kind of wash over you. Not to necessarily take it in or believe it, just let it be. He He says it is our belief that confers upon experience its ability to veil its reality or not. It's our belief that confers upon our experience its ability to veil its reality or not. And strangely, and perhaps not so strangely, what we experience will confirm whatever view we have of it. If we believe that reality consists of a multiplicity and diversity of discrete and independently existing objects and selves, it will seem to do so. In other words, our experience will seem to confirm separation. And the way reality will confirm this view to us is the experience of unhappiness and conflict on the outside. That's reality's way of confirming or appearing in accordance with our belief of it. If, on the other hand, we make the choice, if we understand and feel that the apparent multiplicity and diversity of objects and selves, the 10,000 things that we experience, are all a manifestation of, an expression of a single, infinite, and indivisible reality, then that understanding will be confirmed by happiness on the inside and love and beauty on the outside. And he also says, peace comes when you recognize the nature of thoughts, not when thoughts come to an end. You don't have to change the thoughts. You have to withdraw the permission for them to take you away from yourself. The thoughts that used to veil yourself will now shine with yourself. And the last piece that I want to leave you with is one of my favorite mystic quotes from Francis of Assisi. What we're looking for is where we are looking from. So in other words, that the peace, the beauty, the effortlessness, the love, the creativity, as we settled into the self, that presence of awareness, where we're looking from. Oh, that's where it was. Rather than projecting, there's something between me and that experience. So, just one more time. What we're looking for is where we're looking from. Thanks, y'all.
Huge thank you. Thank you so much. That was a powerful meditation.
Yay!
I'll be texting you in a couple days.
Awesome. That's my jam. Let's talk about it.
My day just came full circle. I was praying this morning in a way that I had met with a friend of mine, and he had coached a particular prayer that is really special to him, and I had made it my own, and I was fervently sitting in that energy praying this morning, and the things that came up funny how I didn't remember, but we're just what you just said. It was the St. Francis quote almost.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, thank you, BJ. Thank you all. Really nice to hear you all share.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all. It's really meaningful to me to get to share what's so close to my heart with beloved beings.
I have no words. I'm falling in love with yeah.
with let's do it. There's nowhere to get to. It's here. Wow.
Great. See you next time.
See you next time.